Welcome, everybody, in. It's another Nice Job live chat. It's a Thursday. We're ready to get after it. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having a great week thus far as we start to get ever closer to the end of 2020. This week in particular, my guest that is joining me, you know me, I'm always honest. I'll pull back the curtain. We had another guest scheduled we were trying to kind of prepare for. Last minute, had to exit on us. And this guest who we were planning on reaching out for a bit later was thankfully able to shift his schedule and join us today. I'm always excited about guests in particular, but this one we were talking before we started getting the cameras rolling. We only really got a chance to cross paths once before, but I've seen some of the things he's doing lately, and I saw some things he's been doing in his business for a while, and so he's been on our radar to have on the show. It is Dave Moerman joining us. Dave, how are you today?
I am good, Sean. Thanks for having me on. Even as a backup, I feel honored to be on the show today.
Yeah, well, I will say I played hockey for a bit and I was a goaltender, and I always say you're only the backup if you're not starting. So once you're in the net, you're the guy. So Dave, maybe we came about it, where we shifted around, but it's your show right now. We're ready to go.
I love it.
Revive Washing is the company. We're going to dive a bit into that. But first, if I could dive a bit into kind of your story, can you talk to me from the beginning, a little high level of how you came to get into either entrepreneurship or the service industry? Tell me a little bit about Dave the person first before we get into Dave the business owner.
Sure, man. So I was actually doing a business degree at a local college here, UFE in Abbotsford here. I know we're both Vancouver based, so not too far away. But I was doing my business degree, and I actually ran into a campus recruiter there just on my way to grab a coffee at Tim Hortons, and he gave me at the time a CD-ROM back in 2009. So kind of dating myself here, but I basically took that home, and it said you can run your own, student painting business and make, I think they said $20,000 in a summer. And I watched that CD-ROM, and I was probably signed up for that program within a week or two, pretty shortly thereafter, because I was just so intrigued that not only could I study business, but I could actually go out and, paint a bunch of houses in the summer. So that kind of gave me my first taste of running my own business, being an entrepreneur. And I actually did that for 4 summers through my business degree. So I saw, a lot of ups and downs, spilled paint, employee issues, dealt with customers, and kind of saw like the really great side of being an entrepreneur, and then some more of those valley days we talk about that are a little bit harder to get through.
And so no entrepreneurs are other ones in your family or anything like that? Are you kind of the first one to seek this path out?
First one, yeah. Like out of high school, I was told, I honestly only went to university because my sister did. And I chose business because I actually got a soccer scholarship, and the captain of the soccer team, I thought, was the coolest guy. His name was Jordan. Jordan was studying business. So I thought, well, I have to study business too. And so I took a business degree for that reason, which is kind of funny.
And so many different entrepreneurs have a different way of getting into it. But they always, I think, to a person, talk about there was something kind of early on that hooked them. It might be how the schedule works, how the income comes in, anything like that. Do you remember what the true hook was where you were like, you know what, like I'm going to see this through?
Yeah, I mean, probably just the hook of, the entrepreneurial lifestyle, having the the flexible schedule. And also for me, I was almost at a frustrated point in business school that you're learning all these theories, but you don't actually get to go out into the real world and practice them. So I saw this gap from we're sitting in a classroom learning business, but when do we actually get to go and practice it? So those are probably my 2 hooks, I would say, having that freedom, the flexible schedule, and then being able to actually apply the skills out in the real world.
And how was it when it came to technical training in a sense? Because, it's not, you weren't the story of, my dad was a cleaner or something like that. Was that hard to kind of have those 2 kind of mindsets having to grow at the same time as you got into business, of knowing technically how to get the job done, and then, your marketing, your business plan, your recruiting, all that?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. Honestly, the marketing, the business operations side, I definitely comes more naturally to me. I'm not a very, technically minded person. in the first place. Like honestly, even around our house, I'll put up pictures, but anything repair, it's my wife's category. She likes to head it up, and I'm more of the supporter role. Anything from IKEA, I do not even follow that instruction. I'm just screwing in stuff as she tells me. So we kind of stay in our own lanes, and I'm honestly similar in my business too. My manager is very hands-on, very good technically, because I know that I'm very weak there. So I know the services we do offer, I know how to do them, but it definitely was a learning curve. In the painting side, the franchise I was with did a really good job. They do very thorough training. We go through a number of weekends and do charity projects to really learn the ins and out of the trade. And then on the cleaning side, we went through a number of training programs to really perfect what services we're offering. So it's not easy. I think as a business owner, you have a proclivity to either the sales marketing and you're really good at promoting and networking, or you're like really, really good at doing the skill itself. And if you get too lost on either of those paths, your business is going to have some problems.
Do you think that understanding had an effect on how you look to recruit as you started to grow? I mean, did you put a true emphasis of, hey, I need to make sure I cover my weak spots, and or the same way, but a different sort of direction of making sure I don't hire myself, or I'm going to be surrounded by the same sort of holes? How did that understanding of yourself help you recruit as you started to grow?
Yeah, it definitely played a big part. I mean, for when I started Revive, I think I was on the truck for the first maybe 60 days, maybe 2 months, that I looked to hire, an assistant, and then train that assistant into being a crew leader, and then, on to the next crew type of thing. So I think as a business leader, you want to look in the mirror, and because there's going to be like three things you're like awesome at, and then there's going to be three things that you like suck at. And so I would just say, like for me, I could write up on a piece of paper where I'm a 10 and where I'm like a 2. And so you have to know which lane you kind of want to stay in. And funny enough, if you're a 2 out of 10 in tasks, chances are you're going to really dislike doing them. So if you can hire where you're weak and try stay in your sweet spot, I think that's where your business is going to grow.
And you end up with kind of a diverse group at that point, because even just looking at a problem, or a challenge that comes to your business, depending on what the comfort of people's skill set, they might even think about approaching or solving the problem different. And where I'm kind of going with this breakdown of it is, when you talk about company culture, a lot of times you hear about instilling things from the top down. And then you hear of other ones where it's collective up. And I think the true is you need leadership buy-in. It's a collective, but leadership buy-in and leadership guidance. And you in particular, there's one thing that you were doing with Revive Washing, which is everything that you were doing within your business is kind of also going for something bigger, like a greater purpose in that sense. And I know a lot of what you're doing goes, in charitable elements and things like that. Before we get to the specifics of that, is that something as a part of your core that you knew, like, no matter what you ended up doing, there always was going to be a greater purpose to what you're doing? Have you always had that within you as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say more so recently. I mean, I was a painter for, 9 or 10 years. I had a painting business going, and, did my business degree, made good money, but it really kicked into me more, 5-ish years ago, as Revive kind of started more of the genesis of it. I really got into the world of what being a socially responsible entrepreneur looks like. I looked up to, the Blake Mikowskis of the world who built Tom's. And it was like, man, how do you make this huge company and still like create change in the world? And I just saw a lot of, bigger businesses that, they gift back, a little bit of a percent, or it's almost like giving is seen as like you give after you've like achieved the mountaintop. And so I wanted to kind of almost marry like my business sense with something deeper within me, because it is something that I want to have my whole life being giving back, not through just Revive, but through me as a person. I think, those are the happiest people on earth, or who can give the most. So I think just being in the West here, we've been given so much, and I wanted to have a brand almost be a vehicle that could create change in the world. Because like we're washing houses, which it's not difficult to do. And I think you can create something simple stand for something like that means a whole lot more to people, that they can not just, clients buy into it, but also our team is like, it's become so much more than just like Dave's mission. It's like now Revive is growing. It's a team thing.
And one of the organizations, or at least the main one I see on the Revive Washing website, is Hope International. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship and what exactly you're able to support there?
Yeah, definitely. So Hope's in a whole bunch of countries now. They've been around, I want to say like 40-ish years. It's funny, actually, an uncle of mine has been involved with them for some time. So that's kind of what tuned me on to hearing about them. And so Hope will work in Cambodia, Ethiopia, Uganda, tons of different companies there. And they're basically, they want to go into communities and get them being self-sustaining. So instead of just giving them a $10,000 check, they basically partner with leaders in the community and they say, we have funds, X amount, we're going to be digging a water project here, we're going to be putting in a school here, we're going to be doing this thing over here. And so they basically just go into communities and create a ton of awesome change. But at really the core of what they do, one of their main cores is their clean water creation for communities. So, where we've been sponsoring is in a community, a really rural community called Persat, which it's a growing, city in Cambodia. But, if you travel in 20 minutes outside of Persat, it's just like dirt roads and village where Hope's putting in, hundreds of water points. So they're educating local members of the community, and they're bringing life through bringing clean water to people who don't have it.
And how are you supporting this? Is this something that you're kind of doing monthly? Is it rolled into every job your book as percentages going through? How did you structure your charitable effort?
Yep, great question. So we're structured as a give back model. So we gift back 3% of our total revenue. And we give that to Hope. So we basically do that on a quarterly basis. It's really simple math. We see how much revenue we produce times by 3%, and boom, those funds go right to Hope. So in our business banking account, we have a separate account that's just clean water. And so we track it very carefully and give to Hope on a quarterly basis. So, again, I wanted it to be something that gives as Revive grows. Like when we started, 4.5 years ago, 3% of our small amount of startup revenue was really not that much. But now that we're growing and adding team members and vans, it's like next year we actually have aspirations of even sponsoring a school with Hope if our company can continue to grow. So there's a huge need for helping fix the water crisis. And I think a business is a great place to start to do that.
And just to make sure I was clear on one of the things you said there is you talked about, your efforts able to grow as Revive grows. So the model, the way it's kind of set up is even if, on let's say a rough quarter or anything like that, I'm sure 2020 threw a lot of challenges your way, like you're still able to make an impact, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. If we're doing $1,000 in revenue, we go clean a house, $30 of that is going to Hope. And for quick, messy math for the viewers, for $30, you can basically bring someone clean water in a community. So it's not like we're talking crazy amounts of money. And it's amazing to see what, doesn't sting us at all in the West, can bring, like, literally change someone's life across the world.
And you mentioned your team, it was kind of rally with this effort as well, but you said your customers tend to appreciate that. What kind of reaction do you usually get when either clients, if they knew even prior to booking or as they learn about it, through your relationship, when they learn the kind of the service that they're, paying for is now kind of being paid forward as well? That's gotta be a good feeling for them. But what kind of feedback do you hear?
Man, we hear honestly like every week, I would say, and it happens a lot on the front end where clients will go and get, two or three bids, and they'll say, we're going with you. This, like, we love this cause, or maybe we already give to this other organization, or like this is, the thing that makes you different. So, in a world of pressure washing where so many things are equal, it's a given that you should have your insurance, and you should have, I don't know, whatever else, all these things, basic reviews. It's like selling a car that has seatbelts. It's no longer an option, it's just a requirement. And so I wanted to really create what Seth Godin talks about, a purple cow. How, like, all things equal, how is this thing so different? And so starting it's the furthest thing from being a marketing gimmick for us, but it certainly helps make our company different and stand out. And clients will call in and say, this is an amazing thing to partner with. They'll email us that they want to go with us because we're different and they support our cause. And then even just following along on our Facebook page, we post regular updates about the impact we've been having in Cambodia, working with Hope.
And so many business owners talking about social media or just content creation in general. That's also, it sounds so weird to kind of talk about this because I know it's like it's from your core of why you do it, but that also opens up an avenue for you being able to share those stories to break up the feed a bit or something like that, so you don't have to constantly seem like you're marketing. You're just kind of sharing stories. I mean, in your opinion, how advantageous is that to be able to have other things to talk about in the Revive world besides this is what we did, this is our last job, this is our next job, this is that, this
Yeah.
is this. Like having that other avenue that's about who you are.
It's huge, man. I mean, we're going into 2021. People's BS meters are pretty finely tuned, so they can tell so fast if someone's just doing this for publicity or if this is actually who they are. And for me and my wife Alex, we try to support local businesses and go where we feel we want to spend money to support either the entrepreneur or the business. And so I think it will increase, man, like the fact of people wanting to hire local. And we're all storytellers at our core. And so, through like just having social media is just how we tell our story about our brand and what makes us different. So yeah, I think the viewers, our clients, people who follow us, like seeing something more of our authentic selves rather than just, before and after, check out this, blah, 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 our services, actually seeing something that makes us who we are. That's why videos like these do really good too online, is because people can actually learn who the person is a little bit more and take something, maybe a piece of learning or two. So I think it helps us share our like authentic voice. And in turn, the funny thing with giving, I honestly believe, is like the more you give, the more you receive. And it's not some weird twisted thing. That's just somehow how the world tends to work, is the more you give to others, the more you actually end up getting.
And your giving continues, as we were talking about prior to the record, but I just happened to see, through the Facebook channels, things like that, a group that you're bringing in other entrepreneurs, kind of discussing. Take me through the kind of decision to either go through that and kind of start that up, or what about it made this the right time that you felt, hey, you know what, I'm gonna dive in, create a group of my own, create a network of my own, and share as much as I would get from the group. What came into that decision?
Yeah, good question, man. I've been kind of, as our season slows, I tend to get shiny object syndrome, I think, and my team kind of makes fun of me. I feel like I always have a new idea, but essentially it kind of came out of the fact of the last 6 months or so, I've been working with a handful of pressure washing owners to help systematize and grow their business. And so what I was seeing in a lot of these groups is a lot of technical talk, and let's talk about the PSI of the ball valve of the thing that shoots the chemical, and all that stuff is good. But I think the biggest mistake in our cleaning industry is people will leverage themselves up to their eyeballs with fancy cleaning equipment, when I more want to help swing this direction of our industry into conversations of marketing and being great, creating great company culture, how to be socially, responsible, how to, work on your sales process, how to leverage technology like NiceJob, all those conversations I want to be discussing. So I've cooked up this group. It's called the Home Service Cleaning Entrepreneurs. It's a free group to join. And I try just offer one piece of practical advice every day or so in interviews like these where people can come on to learn from. Because everything that we've done with Revive, to be honest with you, man, it's not really an original idea. I mean, the earth has been around for however long. We're essentially just learning from those that have went before us. And one of my mentors says that success leaves clues. And I think that is so important, that if you can just go and get around the right people, you can learn so much. And I think those are the businesses that grow, are the mindset right here of wanting to grow and learn and give back. Those are the people who ultimately, I think, end up growing their businesses.
And I want to ask you, as someone just starting a new group, what you would say to the person that might struggle with a lot of input but not a lot of output? Like, how do you personally, or your kind of recommendations of when it comes to these Facebook groups and mentors, things like that, of keeping that drive to make sure that you're actually executing? Because you can listen to all the podcasts in the world, you can read all the the groups out there, but it still needs that thing to go execute. Why is that still the most important element of being a business owner?
Yeah, good question, man. There's major analysis paralysis. I mean, I've even caught myself on Facebook at times where you're on for 2 hours and you're like, what did I just do? You filled your head up with a bunch of knowledge, but you have to go execute it. So like, I think the biggest thing is having a community. That's why I think these groups are so awesome, is you can link up with 2 or 3 people in that community who's like-minded. And for me, it was a friend of mine in Kamloops, and he kind of helped me 2 years ago. And we send each other WhatsApp messages back and forth throughout the weeks. And, the amount that I learned from him was just amazing. And so I think as you move in your entrepreneurial journey, it's very important to be giving back to those who can learn from you. And I think always just keeping a posture that you're not, I'm the first to say, like, I'm not a know-it-all and I'm just sharing what's worked for me. But I think community is the big thing, especially through like such a weird time we're living through, where we're not allowed to be hanging out for even Christmas, for goodness sakes. But having a few people, I think, close in your inner circle, and 2-3 people that you can talk throughout the week, it really helps with learning, and also just helps steady out your emotions, because like I said, it is a total roller coaster when you run your own business, whether you're cleaning or whatever business that is. It's full of ups and downs.
It's all shared experiences as well, like there's, even within your friend circle outside of business, there's the one friend you might call, if the car breaks down, they gotta go pick you up on the side of the road, and the other friend you might call if you want to go grab the best meal and kind of celebrate, live it up, or things like that. And I think having not only different people in your network within your industry, but even cross industry as well, I think it's incredibly helpful, because sometimes it's just a different sort of perspective to kind of look at a problem. When you are dealing with a problem within your business, to kind of go high level here, when you're dealing with a problem in your business, though, do you still have your steps to identify and to kind of go through it? And generally, what I'm asking here is your process when it comes to kind of recognizing, noticing, and diagnosing what could potentially be a problem within your business.
Like, what you're asking, what my process is?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good question. So for me, like, I process a lot internally. I like to always try go to bed with like a big problem just to chew on, and I'll usually have a better answer in the morning. But so I process a lot internally. But again, I have this like inner wolf pack of probably 2 or 3 people that I can, I feel like I send more audio messages on WhatsApp, Voxer, and my iMessage than I actually do type them out, just because I'll ping off a problem to like I said, someone in my wolf pack and get a response. So for me, that would probably be it, is taking the problem, once I've chewed on it in my head, actually take it out, speak it out, and then start to work through it a little bit with somebody close to me. I think as being entrepreneurs, we're a weird breed, and Michael Gerber says we actually have like a disease, an entrepreneurial disease, and I think you have to recognize that, and you have to go and find people who are weird like you as well, who've chosen to run their own business, and you need to get around and talk to those people. The other point I'd make is for the people, for the girls, for the guys that are building up their team, bring your problems to your team. And that's something that, because when I started just as a solopreneur, it was always like, Dave has to have the answer and I have to, know all this stuff. And my team now knows I don't have all the answers by any means, but I think the answer lies within our team. And so I'll throw a problem on at our team meeting. And like some of the responses that our team gets is just like, man, these guys are smart people, and every bit as smart as me, if not more. We have different skills, yeah, but I can learn so much from them. So a lot of our like problem solving comes internally within our team as well. So that'd be kind of option A and B. A, take it to my wolf pack. B, take it to my team, but ultimately just like get it out of your head. Because as soon as that happens, that's when you'll actually start getting some momentum and some traction.
And it's that old saying that everything's stronger through community, and so the best group you have. Well, Dave, when you come on the show here, I always say our guests are always experts in one way or another. But here in season 2 of the Nice Job Podcast, I've been kind of ending with a bit of a staple question that I wanted to ask all the guests that appeared within this season. And it's, what is something, if you could share with us, that you distinctly you don't know now, like something that you want to figure out, something you want to tackle or kind of get better at, that you're excited to get to that part, So for some, it's, I'm working on a new system or I'm trying a new marketing effort or something like that. But what is something that you don't know you would be a clear non-expert on that you're getting ready to challenge and you're excited to see the outcome of?
Wow, good one. Man, you ask good questions. I would say for me, is how do I take my 2 kind of budding managers? I have one individual running the office and one running my production team. How do I take those 2 people who are awesome, but how do I pitch them, a vision for the next, say, 3 years? And how do I structure it so that both of them can win in their respective lane? It's something I've been chewing on the last couple of weeks. I don't want to just pump out a boring, job description and here's your KPIs, but I actually want them to like show up to work pumped like I am. Like I cannot wait for Monday mornings because I'm just like ready to get on our team call and go through a bunch of stuff. So how can I create those leaders within my company just to be like chomping at the bit like I am? That would be my big question right now, that going through 2021, I'd like to really get some clarity on.
You said I ask good questions. I think it's a great question to ask yourself, and we're excited to see how you tackle it. Well, Dave, as I said at the top of the show, for anyone just joining us on the live stream, we moved you up the schedule. So a fill-in,
Nice.
backup, or whatever you want to say. But as we get towards the end of this episode here, you were as billed as advertised as one of the great experts that we have here on the Nice Job Podcast. If people want to learn more about you, Dave, Revive Washing, you work with Hope International or anything like that, where should we funnel them towards? Where's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, probably Facebook's the best, just David Moerman. I'm on a number of these groups. Or you could always ping me an email, dave@revivewashing.com, and get a response from me within a day. If you're in the cleaning community, I'd love to connect with you, or just home services in general. I love linking up, networking with other fellow entrepreneurs. Like Sean said, it is all about having a community, and I think we need to stick together and support each other, let alone through a time such as this. So don't be shy. I've learned so much reaching out to people, and so reach out to me. I'd be happy to connect and help and discuss.
Awesome, Dave. Well, thank you once again. You have a great rest of your evening there. And for all of you that tuned in, decide to make yourself a bit better today, learn a bit more about yourself, or to learn some great business tips, we appreciate you being a listener here on the Nice Job Podcast. And hey, if you've liked what you heard so far, share it in some way. You can like it, you can review it, but at the very least, just take something from here and implement it into your life and start making some more progress that way. We will be back next week with another fantastic episode. But as we always say, we hope you're staying healthy, hope you're staying safe, and don't forget to have a little fun out there as well.